In advance of the President's Jobs Summit conference this week, Paul Krugman is finally calling for government jobs. It's time for at least a small-scale version of the New Deal's Works Progress Administration, writes the Nobel Prize-winning economist. He says it would, quote, offer relatively low-paying, but much better than nothing, public service employment. Well, even that is probably not what the Obama administration has in mind. They and Congress seem dead set instead on relying on the private sector to create jobs and on reasserting their own fiscal conservative bona fides before next year's elections. The reality, though, is what's needed is way more than a few poorly paying jobs. After all, poorly paying jobs are what got us into this mess. As we all know by now, between 2000 and 2007, while productivity grew, the typical working household saw their income decline, and decline so far that the only way the average worker could pay for a car or a house or a college education for their kids was to borrow for it. The deadly mix of needy Americans and shameless lenders brought the U.S. economy to the brink and, well, we rode over it. Setting the lowest possible bar for government action and relying on the private sector has brought us here to a situation where, stimulus or no, banks aren't lending, mortgage reform isn't happening, and food stamp use is at a record high. 20,000 people join the rolls every day, and the program now helps 1 American in 8. According to a recent report, more than 36 million Americans are now using food stamps to buy staples like cheese and bread and milk. According to local data reviewed by Krugman's own New York Times, the counties worst hit include the Bronx in New York, Philadelphia, and some parts of Appalachia, where half of all residents need food stamps. The important, rather buried fact in the numbers is that food stamp use isn't only up due to rising unemployment. Oh no, some 40% of the families now on food stamps have earned income coming into their house. Not just jobs, but wages and working hours are at the starvation point. If the economy is stabilizing, as the Fed insists on telling us, it's stabilizing at a frightful place. The rate of job losses is slowing, but huge numbers of working Americans are paid so little they can't afford to eat and feed their families without government assistance. It's not just jobs the nation needs, it's jobs with justice. The sort government can and has in the past created, not by thinking petty and small, but thinking big. The best thing that could happen at President Obama's Jobs Forum is for him to declare a massive government jobs program at genuinely living wages, and then demand for once that private employers shape up.